Hello, friends, and welcome back to another edition of the Weather Live Weekly Outlook here on this Wednesday, January 24th of 2024. I hope you guys are well. Hopefully you're staying dry. I know it's much easier to stay warm right now. Things have changed quite a bit since last week. All that cold air has just about completely lifted out of the eastern United States for good reason, discussing why, where the cold air went, and when and if it will return. Also, if there's any snow potential in your future. Let's jump into this, talking about the satellite perspective, showing you the infrared satellite, not just where we have cloud cover, but we actually showing some thunderstorms today, and the oranges and the reds across the deep south will cover where there could be a little bit of severe weather today, and that plume of moisture stretching into the northeast where plenty of wet weather can be expected. Also watching that next storm trying to make inroads across the west coast of the United States. The jet stream pattern, as we've been talking about, going back into another split pattern as opposed to what we've been experiencing for the better portion of the last 2 weeks, where we had the northern branch and the southern branch unify and dig deep south into the United States, allowing the arrival of the Arctic air. Well, that's a different story now, with the northern branch retreating way up here into northern Canada. That's where the cold air is located, and the southern branch continues to bring up plenty of moisture into the U.S. So that translates to warmth and wetness. And when I say wetness, a lot of rain. Some places will likely see 4, 5, 6 inches of rain over the next week and a half, and we'll be discussing where that will be occurring in this update. Let's get you started over here. Actually, before we go to the jet stream pattern, I want to take a look at the radar. And you can see we do have that plume of moisture all the way across much of the eastern U.S. But if you go south, look at that, 70s for New Orleans, 75 last hour. And these are some stronger thunderstorms. It's down here where there's actually a risk of severe weather today. I'll take off the radar. You can look at that risk area. But in the yellow there, that's a slight risk of severe weather. Not terribly common this time of the year, but yeah, it does occasionally occur. That's exactly what we're seeing out there right now. But if you head north, you're not really seeing a lot going on. In fact, just some departing snow showers out of Maine. The rest of that's just about all rain. And this is going to be a sign of things to come during this forecast period. Now, let's go back over to the models here and showing you the jet stream that we're expecting here over the next week and a half as we finish up January, head into that first week of February, where Punk's a ton of Phil. You know, he's working on that prediction, I'm sure, already. All right, so European forecast model showing the jet stream now. Let's go into the future. Little ripple of low pressure moving along that active southern branch that's going to pay us a visit with more rainfall for the Great Lakes and Ohio River Valley Thursday and into Thursday night. Meanwhile, there's another low that dips in behind it. We'll watch this one because it's going to bring in the potential of some wet snow for some folks. Now, this is a track that typically produces a good, heavy wet snow this time of the year. When in the absence of the Arctic air, you typically have enough cold air for a system like this to do the deed. However, some questions remain about this one. We'll look at that in detail in a moment. But beyond that, I want to show you this pattern that emerges as that split jet remains very evident. But this particular pattern here by midweek next week features this large ridge across the northern tier. That's high pressure system. Meanwhile, there's a low pressure system across the southern tier right here. We call this a high over low block. It's a blocking system, and what it will do is it will prevent systems from moving very fast downstream from that blocking feature, which is going to keep us in the relatively warm air. Also, unfortunately, I think for most people, the relatively wet air as well. So let's take a look at, from sensible weather perspective, this is looking at European forecast models showing the rain in green, the snow in blue, got a little bit of ice up there across portions of New England here next 24 hours, but that's not going to last. Next system moves through the Ohio River Valley, just rain. Got a little bit of snow out west from that next system, and then we'll watch this guy see if I can get a better view of this guy here for you. As it moves across the Ohio River Valley, it is trying to bring in a little bit of wet snow across the Ozarks. Again, there's been some models pushing this a little further north, but I kind of like the Europeans' placement here. Could have some wet snow, maybe a wet few inches across the Ozarks here Saturday night, maybe into Sunday morning. Now watch as that low traverses east. There's just not a lot of cold air until it's kind of exiting the frame here. So we'll take a look over, here it is, that next system where it does translate into the mid-Atlantic and tries to kick up a nor'easter. Again, this would be wet snow for the mid-Atlantic as we head towards late Sunday. This is Sunday night, and Monday it would bring snow for all the big cities actually. Not a bitter cold. It'd be a sticky, wet snow, kind of a hard to shovel snow. So if we want to look at snowfall amounts for that particular storm occurring here, again, late over the weekend, potential is there for 6 to 10, maybe locally 12 inches of wet snow. Okay? Now that's going to be a pretty small area though, because most of the rest of the eastern U.S. won't be seeing much at all. In fact, I'm going to go all the way through the next 10 days here looking for snow totals according to the European forecast model. And again, outside of what's happening perhaps in the mid-Atlantic, there's just not much going on. There is that little bit of snow from the system here over the weekend and across the Ozarks of Missouri. So that's about it. What you will see is plenty of rain. Take a look at these rain total projections here by the European forecast model. 1 to 2 inches of rain from Chicago through St. Louis, through Cleveland and Columbus, and you go south of that, that's 3, 4, 5, maybe locally 6 inches of rainfall. It's going to be a wet time of it. So what about the cold? Where's it at? Well, let's go to what we're seeing right now. As mentioned, that split jet stream keeping the cold far, far north into Canada, up here in the northern Alaska, northern Canada, out towards Greenland. So this is the situation now. Let's move forward in time. Again, these are temperatures compared to normal and just above the surface. And anywhere you have the warm colors, you got temperatures above normal. There's not a lot of cold at all. In fact, we see that warmth reloading here early next week with some downsloping coming off of the Rockies there. And the cold stays locked in. Again, with a blocking pattern across the continental United States. What you see is what you're going to get. We don't see any quick changes here. As we take a look over at the Climate Prediction Center, and they largely agree with this assessment, the 6 to 10 day outlook showing very much above normal temperatures, especially across the northern tier. Precipitation in 6 to 10 days actually going to go below normal for a change. So I don't know, maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see some improvements there, but as far as the warmth, it doesn't change in the 8 to 14 either. It's still very much above normal. With that being said, hey, some people welcome the warmth. That's fine. I don't mind having some warmth in the middle of winter. The January thaw is fine, but give me some sunshine. I can't deal with all the clouds and the gloom and the dampness. It's not good for me. Anyway, with that being said, you guys be sure to stay dry out there, and we'll continue to monitor the situation here. In the meantime, be blessed, and we'll talk again soon.